everyone's been talking about, well, geez, is it me or is it everything? It's just everything lately. So if you saw my post last night, Israel attacked Iran. What I didn't realize at the very beginning that I picked up on later was where the hell did traffic come from? Literally no cars till I pulled out. The light must have changed. Anyway, Israel was hitting apartment buildings, but actually hitting specific floors on these buildings. Hey, Sway, there's some pictures and video all over the internet, and they were hitting, like, there's one apartment building, like they could have easily taken the whole building down. Oh, hey, what's going on, Cat Attack? What's up, Sway? They very easily have the ordinance to take the whole building down, and they didn't. But they hit the upper, like, from the perspective of the camera, the upper left half. Like, they hit one specific corner and took out one apartment. And apparently that apartment was the second in command of the Iranian Air Force. Like, they basically took out the air marshal for Iran. And then they killed, supposedly, hit an apartment on the other side down from that first building and took out the commander of the Republican Guard, which is their, like, elite Iranian combat team. So not only were they bombing and attacking, hey, what's going on, Teresa and Jeep Girl, Sway, everyone? Not only were they attacking the air defense systems and the nuclear facilities, but they actually took out several houses, specifically just that house, not the whole block, one house. And it was the house where a scientist lived, one of the nuclear scientists. They were hitting specific floors on specific buildings with guided missiles. Like, the precision with which these guys did this shit blows my mind. Because normally you think, like when we were in Afghanistan and Iraq, right? It was like, oh, insurgents in the house, right? Boom, whole house, whole building's gone, done. No, they were hitting specific floors, like they were that precise, which means they knew where all the players were and where they lived. They also hit them at 3 o'clock in the morning local time, so it was too early for most of them to be commuting. Because by 5 o'clock, people are getting up and going to commute. And it was too late for them to have had a late night. Like, without a doubt, these guys were probably in their beds when they got killed. So that all went on last night. And of course, tomorrow is, hey, boo. Tomorrow is July 14th, which is the 250th anniversary of the Army. It's the birthday of the president. It's Flag Day. It's a bunch of shit. And everyone, they're threatening the No King protests everywhere. So if you look at nokings.org, I think that's the site, they basically are everywhere, and they're in the country. Now, there is a TikToker, and I was going to repost her video, and I decided not to because the last time I did that, and it was this kind of subject, I got put in YouTube jail. So I didn't. But I'll convey that she is in the trucking industry, and her son is a cop. Now, needless to say, the cops are like all, you know, red alert type thing. But she said in the trucking side of the business, she has friends who are in the rental bus, like the Greyhound style buses. And she said one of her friends who owns a bus company had received a call to rent out like 8 buses tomorrow morning, very early, like 3 a.m. And they were going from various cities and then coming into Texas from other places. And he said, what the hell is that about? So she didn't know at the time. She went and did the homework and realized what was the No Kings thing. So she actually went back. Who do you think Ren is lying about truly taken out? Possibly, but the precision. Right, but if they weren't expecting it, the precision, because they didn't get everyone on the big list. Like, they got the number 2 Air Force general, not the main guy, but then they took out the commander of the Republican Guard, but not his number 2. So I guess what Iran was doing, you know how we do, like the president's going to be one place, so the vice president goes somewhere else, Secretary of State's over here, like the designated survivor type situation. Iran was probably doing that so their leadership didn't completely get decapitated. But in any case, yeah, that's they still lost a lot of valuable people. But going back to the bus thing, he had 8 buses. So what do these buses carry? Like 60 people a piece? So that's a boatload of folks. And he said they were renting them in other cities, and then they wanted to bus into Texas. And he said, what the hell's going on June 14th? He thought it was like rodeo or something. And she didn't know because he called her early and she hadn't caught wind of the June 14th thing. She finally caught wind of it. And she said, what cities did they want to rent to? And so he listed, and she said only one was going to Dallas. Like the rest were going to small town USA in Texas. You know, cities under 200,000 people. And she said, she read the list, and he said, yeah, those cities are all on the list of places they want to go. And she said, this is what's going on. She explained it to him. And he goes, you're kidding me. And she gave him the website. He looked himself, and then he turned down the work. He turned down the contract. He said, I don't want my buses, drivers. I don't agree with that, but I don't want any part of it either because it's going to escalate. He said, and he even told this woman, he said, normally, if there's a protest, I don't care. Normally, they're not violent, but this has been very weird. The timing, hey, Vision, the timing of all this, my conspiracy radar was going off because really, we have all these riots. All of a sudden now we're having an argument with these knuckleheads overseas. Like, what the hell's going on? But in any case, there's a lot of moving parts, and the way they're all happening all at once, that I don't like. There's always someone fighting somewhere, right? There's always someone rioting somewhere. But when they're all happening at one time and it's kind of at home, what he did find odd, the lady who was talking to the bus company guy, the bus company owner, she said that a lot of the cities, they were renting the buses as the start point to then go into the towns in Texas, were cities that he believes, or she believed, and this was her conjecture, based on the information available, there was a helicopter crash that resulted in the death of Rice and his former. Oh yeah, that was, but that happened before, didn't it, Neil? Yes, discernment, thank you, Resilient Dad. Discernment's everything. And what I'm afraid of is a third party is going to take advantage of the protests and do something horrendous that will either hurt the protesters who are there doing, you know, exercising their freedoms, or hurt the cops, or both. And everything's going to overreact, because that would make a hell of a, I can't say the word, it would be a red bandana incident. So does that make sense? So the red bandana, a perfect red bandana would be to go to an event and do something bad. Like set off large firecrackers. If you guys catch my drift. So, okay, yeah, Neil. And you know, Neil, I've always wondered, that was very convenient, is like, there's, oops, the president had an accident. And then they blame the helicopter. Like, you would think if Iran has money and they can buy parts, it's not like they're like Cuba where they're half-ass broke. Where, really, of all the helicopters Iran had, you'd think the president's helicopter would have spare parts, right? It would be maintained properly. So anyway, so in any case, yeah, I agree about the NGOs. So anyway, could it be a setup for a red bandana? I don't know. Or should I say a maroon bandana? Would that be better? Anyway, so a maroon bandana incident could occur. Do I know this? No. This is pure speculation. This is my conspiracy hat being put on. But the timing is definitely suspicious. Now, if Iran was angry at us and they wanted to be bad and cause chaos here to distract us from what's going to happen over there, they would tell people to do maroon bandanas over here. So the timing is sus, is all I'm saying. The timing is super sus. I went to the No Kingdom Day, or No King's Day, or whatever the hell it's called, And I looked on the website, and they're hiding the addresses of the meeting points now. Yesterday I could see them, today I cannot. And they're saying, meeting site move is private. Please register for more information. So you have to register and they get your IP address and a bunch of other shit. So interesting. And Neil, absolutely. And what's sad is these kind of players prevent dialogue, right? I bet you if you grab an anti-deportation person and you put a pro-deportation person and sat them down for a cup of coffee and they had a conversation like two civilized people, they'd probably realize that the best solution is probably somewhere in the middle. I don't want to see families broken up. Who the hell does, right? I mean, and people are like, oh, they're raised. No, it's just who came in, you know. But at the same time, I don't want cartel guys here. I don't want chomos here. I don't want people who violate other people here. We don't want those. I get it. So the reality is somewhere in the middle, there's got to be a ground where we can say, hey, let's get rid of the assholes. And then let's sit down and let Congress hash out, well, what do we do with the people who are actually working and not doing bad things? And can we find a path for them that is legitimate? And if they owe back taxes, okay, well, can they prorate the taxes over the next 10 years and say, okay, you owe X amount of tax that you didn't pay, so you're going to pay that 2% penalty over 10 years or something. You know what I mean? I'm giving symbolic numbers, but you guys get the idea. 250 tomorrow in DC. My brother has TD and claims. Well, and that's the funny thing, let alone if you send them the link and actually show them on AI or Google, hey, yeah, tomorrow's the 250th anniversary, they can't see it. Like, they just don't even want to hear it. And it's it's frustrating. And the amount of fingers and ears going la 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 I see from people just blows my mind. But I do believe there are agitators. There are reports that people are being offered money to escalate. Now, to be fair, on the No Kings website, it says you must take this de-escalation video and you have to register first, and then you take this video. Someone posted some of it on TikTok or on X, and they're like, well, if someone confronts you, these are the things you can say, and walk away and maintain 6 feet from violent people. You know, it's guidelines to not get in a fight, which is fair. Okay. But then there's other groups that are saying we're seeing blatant statements like, go and escalate so we can get our message across on the news by doing the following. And then they're like, go spit on someone or do horrendous shit. So my fear is the agitators will prevent the message from being put across. And what it's going to do is actually create a super negative environment and possibly escalate. I'm hoping not. So you goatee looks like it was glued on. No, buddy, it was. It's quite normal. But thank you. Rise with Ethan. I don't know what to tell you there, buddy. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. He wants to be unnice. I'm just going to kick him off. I don't have to give anyone a voice on my platform. If he wants to make funny comments, at least make something germane to the conversation. But more than likely, Ethan's, I'm saying, looks good. I thought it wasn't real. No, it is. See, and that's the problem with the chats. You can't put an entire sentence and convey a thought. I think social media screwed up our society. People can't have conversations in a chat, like a real conversation. You can't see body language. You can't see intonation. You know what I mean? And it's sad. Only critical thinkers, please comment. Thank you, Bootlicker. Ex-Bootlicker. If I'm seeing you right, I'm not sure. I don't have my glasses. And your name is Itty Bitty. So if I misstated your name, sorry. But folks, look, regardless, there's going to be a lot of emotion, right? Regardless of where you stand, have the basics in your car. It's the same stuff you would have if you're making a long road trip and you're worried about a breakdown in the middle of, I don't know, between Phoenix and LA, right? When you're in the damn desert. Or you don't want to break down on the side of the road in Appalachia where the trucks can't see you and they'll hit you going over the hills. You want to have a bag. Keep the basics. Now, if you've never had one before, keep it very simple. Get an old duffel bag or a backpack. Put water, granola, poncho, flashlight, extra set of shoes, lace-up shoes and boots, or boots and socks. So if you're yes, make the comms plan. At this point, when I travel, I'm bringing a ham radio with me. I have my cell phone. I have a CB in my truck, but I bring my ham radio too, because I can let it scroll in the background and I just kind of listen to shit. By the way, you go to El Paso and you get close to Juarez on the other side of the border and you just start scanning channels. Damn, I need to do that. I need to do a live stream where I just scan the channels and then stop when you pick up conversations of the people on the other side. Some of it's funny and some of it's really dark. But by now I'm pretty sure the cartels are encrypting their shit too. But not everyone. Any case, look, if you're traveling, plan out your trips, right? If you're gonna go through, say, Chicago, Dallas, and you know there's a protest, find out where alternate path and let someone know where you are. What I would recommend if you have trusted friends and family is to actually just share your location with them on your phone so they know where you are, right? Hey, Deuce, good to see you. So they know where you are in case they see you suddenly not moving for an extended period of time and that's not where you were supposed to be. They'll at least know enough to give you a quick ring and say, hey, everything okay? Did you stop for lunch? Did you break down? Generally speaking, that's just a good idea, even if you're just going on vacation, right? How many truck drivers don't have cash on them? Assume credit cards will work. Yes, cash, and Farmer and Hudson are bringing up a very good point. Have some cash. Have a little bit of cash. What my recommendation, somebody asked me, how much cash should I have? And I said, it depends on your circumstance. The person got angry at me in a chat. My suggestion, this is how I calculate it. At a minimum, have enough for 2 tanks of gas. So you should know roughly how much it costs to fill your tank of gas, whatever vehicle you drive. So have enough for 2 tanks of gas. If nothing else, to get the hell out of whatever area you're in. I myself plan on the 2 tanks and a night in a hotel. And obviously, if it's an emergency, I'm gonna go to whatever hotel has a bed that is not in the rain, right? And doesn't have roaches all over it. So, you know, figure, I don't know, say $50 a tank. I don't know, depends what you drive. You got a 250 with a 40-gallon tank. Yeah, that's gonna be a bit of money. But let's just say you fill up with $30, right? You got a Toyota or CRV or something. So $60, 2 tanks of gas, 30 a piece, and then a cheap hotel, 60 a night. $120. $100 is not a bad starting point, right? Also, you may, as you build on your little reserve in your travel fund, you may say, okay, I'm going to add an extra 20 for McDonald's. Well, though McDonald's is expensive as shit, you may wind up going to damn Walmart and getting granolas. But anyway, you get the picture. So plan for a minimum 2 tanks of gas so you can get out of wherever you are, and then call it good. If you don't have a bag for emergencies, which you should, even if you're just traveling, don't tell people what to do. What? All right, and I don't know what that was about, but bye-bye, dude. All right, so anyway. Oh yeah, no, Nameless is now faceless because he no longer is on the channel. In any case, have enough for 2 tanks of gas in your bag if you're just starting. Think of a carry-on on a plane. Change your clothes, maybe a small toiletry kit, change your socks, spare shoes if you think that might work, a jacket, and some snacks, a couple of bottles of water, a couple of granola bars. Right there, that little kit. Maybe a road flare in case you get in an accident or something, and a first aid kit. You should be able to do that in an old backpack or duffel bag that might be lying around the house. You shouldn't be spending a lot of money. Okay, I know there are a lot of channels, they'll be like, oh yeah, you have to buy this thing, it's $5,000. Don't do that. Don't. The inflation sucks right now. You don't do that. Save money. Now, there's a bunch of creators in the chat. They all have links. All of us have different links for different things. If you find a good deal there and a discount, great. But if you don't, none of us will be offended if you get a better deal at Walmart or Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight has all sorts of cool shit, but you got to look for it. It's like an Easter egg hunt. So folks, have what you need, plan out your trip, have an alternate route, and let someone know where you are. Have a little bit of cash, maybe a change of clothes in case you get, you know, if things get weird, you try to drive home, it gets late, you get tired, and you wind up sleeping in a truck stop or something. At least you have a change of clothes. You can at least change your shirt or something so you don't smell like an old garbage can when you get home. Other than that, folks, plan it out, be cool. If you do carry, license carry, or depending on what your state rules are like, do so. I would recommend stay concealed. I don't like to advertise unless I'm out in the woods, in which case nobody gives a shit. I like to conceal. I don't want to attract attention, right? The whole gray man concept, just blend into the other people. You know, plan accordingly. I would recommend a first aid kit. And if you're going to attend the rally or attend the protest, definitely bring a first aid kit in a backpack, because inevitably someone will, if they don't get hurt from fighting, you have that many people running around and screaming and not paying attention, someone's just going to get hurt. Like, I've been to protests where literally someone broke their wrist because they tripped off the curb. Nobody pushed them. There was no fight. They weren't paying attention. They had their sign. They were like, yes, and then boom, down, and they landed like garbage, and they broke a wrist. And now they're hurt, and they were bleeding, and so first aid kit for the person, right? So, yeah, but plan your trips out. And again, the website has hidden a lot of the rally points. So, yes, if you're trained on it. And there's a lot of YouTube videos out there, YouTubers who show you how to use different parts of your first aid kit. So don't hesitate to go do a little research. But folks, this is stuff you should have in your car anyway. You know, whether they're having protests or whether you're just going to go on vacation, it's just smart stuff. Hey, Tony. So, hey, JetMac. But folks, speaking of, Walmart is sponsoring the protest by paying people 200 days protest. Something to think about next time you go to Walmart. Ooh, that's a rabbit hole we need to go down. I need to dig into that a little bit. Pepper gel spray if you can't conceal. Yes, there are other options besides a pew for defensive purposes. A walking stick is completely illegal everywhere, right? And you know, a good thump on the body will sometimes discourage a bad dog from coming to bite you, if you catch my meaning. But folks, right now, all I would tell you, do what we normally do. Double check your bags, make sure you have what you need. I can't speak to what's happening between Israel and Iran. All I can tell you is I don't want our troops there unless somebody attacks us here. We have no business there. That's their fight, and that's a very ancient fight that the freaking English went there, and the French went there, and the Americans and the Russians, and it didn't end well for any of the Western countries. They have a fight. Let them have their fight. And we need our soldiers and our airmen and our sailors here, because there are other things that could happen to us here that we will need them home for, if that makes sense. But in the meantime, the war is BB's wet dream. Well, and bootlicker, it could get ugly. Like, it could get horrendous, because Saudi's no friend of Iran. So what if Iran decides, I'm going to go and, just like the bar fight theory, right? Two guys are fighting in the bar, and then one of the drunks punches a guy at the other table who had nothing to do with anything. I could see that. Where Iran's like, well, since we're yeeting things at Israel, you know what? I'm going to yeet at Qatar and screw them too. and now they have a bigger fight. And we got troops in Bahrain, we got troops in Qatar, we got troops in Saudi, we got people in Iraq. Like, what are we doing? I mean, granted, they're allies and we train and all that, but yeah, we just, yes. Look, someone goes and attacks Canada or England. Okay, those are really close friends of ours, but this thing in the Middle East, that is ancient. And if Israel suddenly decided to move somewhere else, they would fight with each other. The Sunni and Shia would absolutely massacre each other. And they did it between Iraq and Iran. They had like 4 different wars. I mean, there were hundreds of thousands died. So yeah, I don't want us to be part of that. I don't like what's happening, but it's not our fight. But in any case, folks, look, be prepared for yourself. And these are things you should have in your car regardless, right? Because people break down, people have car accidents, people get hurt. You go to the beach and somebody steps on a fishing hook because an idiot left it on the sand. Well, guess what? Now you need a first aid kit, right? Common sense, folks. Common sense, stay on budget. Don't freak out, but plan your trips. If you're going anywhere tomorrow, we're going to be going to the farmer's market in the next city over, and we just found out that that city has now hidden their rally point for the protest. So we don't know where the protest is anymore. They've moved it, probably because people were threatening to go there and pick fights. So, which is smart on the protester side, but now I don't know where it is. So like, they could show up at the farmer's market. So we're not bringing the dogs like we normally do. We're not going to where we know they're going to be. We're going to go find other shit to do. And if there's nothing else we can do, we're going to go home, and I'm going to make sandwiches and drink beer. And I'll watch the idiots on the news. And then we can have fun. But in any case, folks, look, you guys be good, be safe out there, plan your trips, and just be careful. And we've all got this. We prepare for emergencies. This could or could not be one, but there's no reason to freak. This is a good time to be smart, stay on budget, and be chill, and plan out your trips. You should be doing this stuff anyway. This is what we do because in the back of our minds, we know shit happens. Remember, an SHTF doesn't have to be the zombie apocalypse. You could lose your job and now you have a personal SHTF. You could have a car wreck and have a personal incident in SHTF. Think of it that way and it'll guide so much of what you do. Because you go and you buy something and you ask yourself, yeah, this is for the zombies, but could I also use this if I get laid off? Could I use this if I get my hours cut? Remember, think. You guys be good, be safe, God bless. Thanks for joining me today. I will see you all.